Talking smack about packet fragmentation with FragmentSmack.
So Mike, it sounds like there's an update on the FragmentSmack vulnerability. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so this one was really interesting, and to begin with, I love a vulnerability with a good name, and FragmentSmack is right up there in my book. So earlier this summer, kind of in the June-July timeframe and into early August, there was a denial of service vulnerability identified in Linux kernel versions 4.9 and up.
It seems to be a condition that can be triggered by overlapping fragments of significant size in TCP connections, which is sort of an elegant way of inducing a denial of service against a target that doesn't involve sending tons and tons of traffic.
In this case, given the wide distribution of the Linux kernel, in embedded devices and other types of appliances, that it was already figured that this was going to have some downstream impact, right? That it wasn't just going to be something that you could go, patch your Red Hat and Ubuntu boxes and call it a day. That there were going to be, some other updates. Lo and behold, here comes Microsoft's Patch Tuesday in September.
So Microsoft kind of gave themselves a little extra time to address it because it turns out that FragmentSmack did affect Linux and Windows.
Which was intriguing because they didn't really come out and make any comment about that earlier here the last month or two when kind of the rest of the industry was doing that.
Yeah, you'd wonder why they would withhold that information. Either they realized they were vulnerable and decided to keep it quiet so they had a little more time to patch, or they totally missed the mark on that one. I don't know which one it could be.
And Microsoft made no mention of the delay. They just announced it like it was new.
Yeah, it was just an advisory that came out saying, hey, yeah, by the way, this impacted us. We have some FAQs on the site, and they had some recommendations there as part of that. Which really, on the Linux kernel side, prior to there being, updates for the issue itself, there were some recommendations about, kind of reducing the size of the, packet fragment handling queues and things like that. Microsoft's advisory actually, kind of went a step further than that and recommended, dropping out of order packet fragments, which, that could cause some impact to legitimate traffic. So certainly you'd want to be very cautious before, taking that kind of activity or taking that kind of action.
Yeah, because dropping traffic, if you're trying to reassemble or keep anything for compliance or, audit purposes, dropping stuff that comes in, with NTP, stuff can come in different times, so.
Yeah, but I think what we're talking about here, we're talking about reassembling traffic in order. We're talking about TCP traffic.
Yeah.
And I mean, fragmentation and other things that are available to the TCP stack, you can get away with disabling a lot of it. You take a performance hit, but it doesn't prevent you. And eventually, because it's TCP, all the data should get there eventually.
Right.
Now, the upside is that from a denial of service perspective, as soon as the packets stop coming to the machine, it'll work through that queue and become, resume normal operation. So it doesn't damage anything. It doesn't damage any data. It's not, kind of doing anything, destructive in that nature. It's simply, making the system unavailable, which is probably why it didn't get kind of more, coverage than it did.
Okay. Well, that's good, and because I know of some other TCP stack attacks. I think it was Slow Loris, which is kind of maybe dating myself, but stuff that messes with like different window sizes and timeouts can definitely put the thing in a state where it's not like, it immediately comes back when it's done. It's like, well, you got to let all these things time out eventually, and then you'll maybe get back to normal.
Right.
All right, well, cool. This is an interesting story. Thanks. If you're involved with patching at all, maybe this is the time to go and look at your infrastructure and make the choice. Should I go ahead and do this? As a security professional, I would say yes, but I understand that there are mitigating factors to that.